What's up, nerds? It's Pat from the Nerds You're Looking For podcast. And today I want to talk about the big Pokemon Nintendo Switch rumors that have been swirling around recently. So right off the top, obviously these are rumors. So all or none of these could end up being correct or confirmed or whatever. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to present them and talk about them as if they will be true. So instead of saying, oh, well, if this is true or allegedly or whatever, we can get that out of the way. These are just rumors. This video could be really outdated in like 2 weeks. But I just wanted to get it out there and kind of give my thoughts on some of the rumors that have been going around. So obviously Nintendo has a ton of great franchises. But for me, and I guarantee you I'm not the only one that thinks like this, but for me, there are the big three. You have, of course, Mario, you have Zelda, and then you have Pokemon. And of course, Zelda with Breath of the Wild was a launch title for the Switch. And then shortly after that, we got Super Mario Odyssey. But unfortunately, we haven't gotten a real Pokemon game. I know we got that fighting game a while back, but I don't really count that. Just like I don't really count Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Yeah, it's on the Switch. Yeah, we got a couple of new things, but it's just essentially remastered or ported to the Switch from the Wii U. But we have yet to get a real Pokemon game on the Switch. And I've heard two different rumors about when the game is going to officially be announced. I've heard, obviously, that they're just going to wait until E3, which is coming up in a few weeks. But I've also heard that maybe they're going to try to sneak it in before E3, before everybody's announcing all of their big projects, just to kind of steal the headlines the week before, kind of get everybody excited for E3 and maybe give more concrete details during their presentation. But either way, it sounds like we're going to know more about this game in the next few weeks. Alright, so the big one is the name. So a lot of people are talking about the fact that the new Pokemon game for the Switch is going to be called Pokemon Let's Go, which obviously is kind of a play on Pokemon Go. And it's a lot different than some of the games that we're used to. Obviously, we had the colors way back when, and then we had the gems like Ruby and Sapphire, and then of course recently we had Sun and Moon. So that's a lot different than the older games, just the way they named the older games, which would lead me to believe that it's going to be somewhat similar to how you play Pokemon Go. Hopefully not the gyms, because that would piss me off, because the gym stuff in Pokemon Go is ridiculous. I hate it. They took a really sophisticated gym and battle system and they just made it a hot mess in Pokemon Go. But I don't want to get distracted on that. That's a whole different video. What I think that means is that maybe catching Pokemon is going to be more like Pokemon Go, which I like, but also makes me a little nervous at the same time. I think that it's a good idea because the Switch is a touchscreen, and I feel like if you're not using the technology that you have at your disposal, then it would be a missed opportunity. But at the same time, catching Pokemon in the Game Boy games and in the DS and the 3DS games, there was some nuance to it because you had to tire them down or you had to put them to sleep. You couldn't just, oh, I stumbled across a Pokemon, I'm going to just throw balls at it until it finally wears down and I catch it, which is kind of what you have to do in Pokemon Go. I mean, of course, you have your Great Balls and your Ultra Balls, so you can use those. But for the most part, it's just, oh, I'm just going to keep tossing balls at you until you wear down and you finally give in. So I really hope that the new Pokemon game isn't like that, because that just gets boring and monotonous. And honestly, when you're trying to catch all the Pokemon in the game to begin with, it kind of starts getting monotonous anyways. So if you're taking the nuance out of catching them, I think you're doing a disservice to the fans. And kind of the second part to the rumor about the name is, of course, it's going to be Pokemon Let's Go, but there's going to be 2 editions like there usually is. And the 2 editions are going to be Pikachu and Eevee, which obviously is a lot different than the older games, but it makes sense from a branding and a business standpoint, because honestly, those are probably your 2 most popular. So I get why they would choose those 2. But that kind of leads me into the biggest part, or the biggest rumor that I've heard about these games. The reason that they're called the Pikachu edition or the Eevee edition is because they're not necessarily going to be remastering the older games. They're going to be kind of reimagining the older games. So it's not going to be a completely original game, which obviously would piss a lot of people off. I think that it would be extremely disappointing if they did that for multiple reasons, but just for the fact that it seems like that's what Nintendo wants to do right now with the Switch. So we got Breath of the Wild, and then of course we got Super Mario Odyssey, but it feels like there's not a ton of original games. It feels like they're just remastering or porting a lot of these other older games like the Wii U games, or they're taking games like Doom or Skyrim or Diablo and just porting them over to the Switch, which for business purposes I understand, because it's not easy to do that, but it's certainly a hell of a lot easier to port a game that already exists to the Switch than it would be to create the whole game from scratch. So I get why they're trying to do that, trying to build up the Switch's catalog by porting a lot of these games. But if you have this big franchise, part of the big three that I mentioned earlier in this video, and all you're doing is kind of reimagining a game that you already put out decades ago, that would be unbelievably disappointing. And what the saddest part about it is that it will sell. I'm a sucker for this franchise. I'm a sucker for Nintendo. So I guess I'm part of the problem, because I will buy this game. I can't decide if I'll get the Pikachu or the Eevee. I'll probably lean towards the Eevee just because it's so fucking cute. But, I mean, Pikachu's cute too. But, I mean, I guess I'm part of the problem, because I would definitely buy this because it's a new Pokemon game, or new, I guess in quotes, Pokemon game. And it's for the Switch, which I mean, I really love my Switch. I defended it when I first bought it to a lot of my other gamer friends that were just like, oh, well, that's just an expensive Zelda machine. Yeah, it kind of was, but it's so cool. It's so cool that we have these games, these AAA titles in the palm of my hand. I just really wish that they would get away from this porting and remastering and just give me original content, because some of their games that are original are their best games for the Switch. Breath of the Wild was fucking amazing. Super Mario Odyssey, which I haven't finished, but is also amazing. So please, don't do us like this, Nintendo. Please, if this is true, I'm going to be heartbroken. Please, 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 I'm pleading with you. Don't do this to us. But that's just my humble opinion. If you nerds have a different opinion on some of these rumors, or maybe you heard a different rumor that I didn't mention, leave them in the comments below. If you haven't already, definitely hit that subscribe button. That helps us out a lot. It makes me feel really good. And if you do hit that subscribe button, ding that bell. That way you get notifications anytime we post any type of video. And of course, I will put all the other links to everything else that we do, including the podcast, The Nerd You're Looking For, in the video description below. For Patrick Kuhn, I am the nerd you're looking for. Take it easy, guys.